Josh Heupel saved college football. I think so. I mean, if he didn't make that move, what would have happened? I think pure chaos. We'll talk about that in a second. Thanks for hanging out with me on a Monday morning, almost Monday afternoon here live. If you like talking college football, you like talking Clemson football, I hope you'll subscribe. It is free, and I really do appreciate the support. Okay, I'm not going through the whole thing again, but let's just recap. Nico, a 5-star out of California, signed with Tennessee. He sat his first year behind Joe Milton. And then he played last year, and he got Tennessee to the college football playoff. Now, Tennessee's schedule was not as difficult as other SEC teams, but he still won a bunch of games and got them to the college football playoff. Unfortunately, in that game against Ohio State, just a few days before Christmas, Tennessee lost 42-17. Yeah, 42-17. Nico was 14 of 31 for 104 yards. Yeah, they came into that game with 10 wins, and they didn't get the W there. In fact, they got embarrassed. Now, UT fans, I'm not talking trash to you. I'm saying that this guy did get them to the college football playoff, but they got embarrassed. So some of you reached out to me, gave me more details, and I appreciate it because I'm not a Tennessee fan. I have respect for Tennessee, but I don't know all the details about Nico's contract. I looked up a few things and maybe skewered the numbers, but this is what I'm understanding from even more research I did this morning and what some of you told me. That Nico, his deal was about $2.4 million per year, and he had signed a 3-year deal or something like that. I can't remember the length of the contract, but so far up to this point, Nico's made almost $5 million, if the math is mathing, up to this point. So remember, the first year he sat out. He was sitting behind Joe Milton. Last year he did what he did. But very crucial. He had some very crucial mistakes against Arkansas, including the very last play of the game. Didn't put the ball up. He ran out of bounds, I guess, trying to get the first down, but the clock expired on him. And then, of course, going to Ohio State and getting the absolute trash beat out of them, and he barely passed for over 100 yards. Now, we know what happened. Supposedly Dan Lanning reached out to Josh Heupel, said, hey, his dad or his Nico's inner circle is shopping his abilities and his playership. Right now, they're looking for a spot. And then, of course, the straw that broke the camel's back was this past Friday when he did not go to practice. Reports have come out that he would not answer calls or texts from coaches. No communication, and he was holding out kind of like an old NFL play by free agents and guys who wanted, say free agents, but guys who were in contract negotiations, and they were like, I'm not even going to practice. Well, he tried that, and unfortunately for him, Josh Heupel was not biting. Josh Heupel said, no one is bigger than the program. So Josh Heupel steps up and looks at Nico and says, I'm not playing. I'm not going to destroy what I've built since 2021. Josh Heupel's been there since 2021. I'm not going to destroy that. No one player is bigger than Tennessee. And so Nico hit the transfer portal. By the way, right now, and I may do another video on this, but just to let you know, it is a rumor right now that Nico has already committed to the University of North Carolina. It just hasn't been announced yet. So I just looked that up before I got on here. It is not official. If you go to 24/7 Sports, it says 100% he's going to North Carolina. And we'll see. I don't know about that. But that's not the subject of the video. The subject of the video is that Josh Heupel saved college football. And I believe he did. If he would have broke this past weekend and said, Nico, you know what, man? I'm going to give in to you. I believe Nico was asking for, instead of $2.5 million per year, he was asking for $4 million a year. Now, he did get them to the playoff, but I talked about the mistakes that were made. The guy is already making a lot of money. I've outlined this on my past couple of videos where I've personally spoke to a parent of someone who played D1 baseball and said they literally had a class on how not to lose your scholarship because you violated the NCAA rules on accepting gifts and this, that, and the other. They literally could not, the players could not accept a can of soda from someone because it would be seen as an NCAA violation. So we went from that, which was ridiculous. That should have never happened. The NCAA set up this fiasco. I'll talk about that more in just a second. But now we're here. We're $2.4 million per year. It's not enough. Yeah. And Josh Heupel looked and said, I'm not doing this. I'm not against you guys getting money. I'm not against you guys getting, NIL deals. I'm not against working with the Tennessee collective here. But you're not going to hold my head in the toilet and dare me to not cut you or tell you, go to the transfer portal. And I believe he saved college football because if he would have broke, I believe that a lot of other teams, it would have emboldened a lot of players out there who are worth something. But they're not worth what they think they are. And I just applaud Josh Heupel. I don't know the guy. I don't know what he's like behind closed doors. But in this scenario, he swung a much needed balance in place that college football needs right now. No one is regulating anything. Now, I'm a guy who really doesn't like over-regulation because that's what it turns into most of the time. But these guys need to sign a contract, like an NFL-style contract. And we need good bipartisan oversight. Because right now, guys are showing up to practice, and if they don't get the deal they want, they don't show up to practice the next day. We've even seen this in the NFL, but that's the pros. And I know this is no longer amateur sports. Well, it's school, and they're supposed to graduate and all that bunch of good stuff. Yeah, supposed to. There's a lot of things that's supposed to be the way, a certain way, but it's not. Josh Heupel gave coaches more of a spine to sit straight up and go, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to have you hold me hostage. I'm not doing this. And then destroy the team. Now, we knew immediately that Nico would be picked up by someone. I predicted Southern Cal because, and now that it's coming out in North Carolina, I don't know what Belichick is doing up there. But I will tell you, and I have a few North Carolina fans that watches my channel. I will tell you straight up, guys. I don't think that Nico is the answer to I don't think that he's going to elevate your program in the way it needs to be elevated. All right? Because he had a lot of talent around him. And he has talent himself. I've praised the kid. But the guy has a lot of growing to do. I mean, like a lot of growing. And the question is, will he truly grow at the University of North Carolina next? Unless something unbelievable has changed in the past 6 months. I mean, I know they've hit the portal and this, that, and the other. But they don't have near the talent around him that Tennessee had around him. And we saw what Ohio State did to him in Tennessee. We saw that with the talent that they had. So I just don't see that working out well. But this gives, I think this gives a lot of coaches the kind of the willpower to look at guys and say, look, I'm not against you being paid, but you holding out and in the way that you held out was wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not playing that game. You're not going to destroy this team. I said this earlier. If he would have given in, I believe you would have started to see more players this week, just like immediately go, yeah, I want more money too. I want more money. It's like, what? You just played a spring game and seemed happy. You know, you seemed happy with the new car. You seemed happy with the 2 Instagram girlfriends. I thought you were thrilled. I mean, you couldn't even accept a can of soda, or else it was an NCAA violation. And now you're telling me, yeah, because if he gets more money, I get more money. That would have happened. So much thanks to Josh Heupel saving college football, at least prolonging any good thing that is left in college football right now. So I do appreciate that from him. Kudos to he and his staff. Looking at a guy that won, he did. He won 10 games in the SEC in his first year as a starter. Got them to the college football playoff. But, I mean, I said this yesterday, and I'll say this again for some of you who didn't see yesterday's video. As a Clemson fan, I had the pleasure of watching Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence play. And so when I see these guys, especially quarterbacks, who they did okay. They didn't do bad. They might have won 10 games and got to the college football playoff. When I look at them and they start demanding money and it's like, hey, I'm going to transfer. I always compare them to Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. And you know what's so funny about it? Almost every one of them, they don't even come close to comparing. Not even close. And no offense to Nico, but not even close. Deshaun Watson's sophomore year, which was his first year he started, was his best numbers he ever put up while he was at Clemson. Should have won the Heisman. Lost the national championship by 5 points. So when I think about that, I think about Trevor Lawrence as a true freshman coming in, having to battle for the starting job with someone that was very talented, and he beats him out. A guy that was a starter the year before, got them to the college football playoff, but Lawrence turns around and wins a national championship. When I look at that, and then I look at these other guys that I'm seeing transfer because they think they can get more money or they think they can get more playing time. They think this. I'm sitting there going, no. I looked up a very interesting story, and I'll close with this. There was a guy, he was a big recruit coming out of high school. He was a 5-star signed with Southern Cal. His name is Malachi Nelson. Malachi Nelson was at Southern Cal. He transferred to Boise State. He sat at Boise State last year. Yes, that incredible run they had. He sat. I don't know all the details about this, so I'm not villainizing the guy. Guess where he's at today? He transferred to UTEP. Transferring works for some, and transferring, I think there's a lot of people it's not working for them near like they thought it was going to. So I predict that over the coming years, you're going to see some guys begin to have, not a bunch of them, because young guys are going to make dumb decisions. That's just how it goes. There's going to be some guys who's going to step back and go, whoa, hold on. I've heard stories about this guy who was really good coming out of high school, had the world at his fingertips, and then he kept transferring. And he never amounted to be a great quarterback. He never came to fruition. I don't know if I want that. Maybe I don't want that. I don't know the rest of Malachi Nelson's story. I don't. I admit that. And I wish him the very best. But we're starting to see more and more guys transfer. And it's not working out. I think that will influence some people as time moves on. Get in here into the comment section. David Woody, good to see you. Good morning, my friend David Woody. see that symbol beside your name. That means he supports the channel on a monthly basis, $3 or $5 per month. If you want to do that, there's a join button below the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. That is free, and I appreciate it. Rob Ellen, I saw a report that Nico's NIL was renegotiated after the season ended, and then he wanted another renegotiation. If that's true, Nico's advisors should be fired. I'm telling you, you got to be careful who you take, whose advice you take. And if it's your parents, that's even tougher. Good morning. The mess didn't start with players wanting to be paid. The mess started because players were not happy that schools were making money and players only got scholarships. Agreed. Rustastic, I agree with you that the NCAA started this thing. They started this thing. And what is interesting to me, they were quick to nail down small violations. But then you could have, a school create fake classes that they really were not going to, last I checked, but I won't name names. And their program didn't suffer near like other programs did. So I agree the NCAA started this 100%. And it's been going on for decades. At the same time, each player, I believe, they have their choice. And I think they need to be extremely careful the advice they take, and also I think they should have appreciation for the money that they're earning, considering the vast majority of us. And I'm not arguing with you. You're incredible viewer. I'm just conversating here. I totally agree with you. I think that they need to step back and have some appreciation for the money that they are receiving, that they're receiving now, versus just not too long ago they couldn't accept. And I keep bringing up a soda because that was the example used to me, showing how simple, a $1.50 drink could cost you with an NCAA violation. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't have happened. But they should appreciate the money that they're earning. And if they want more money, play better. And if their school is not giving them the money, instead of doing this whole holdout thing like they did this past weekend, Nico did this past weekend, just hit the portal. Because right now, and again, notice on my thumbnail, I didn't even put up a picture of Nico this time. I just had a guy holding up a bag of money. Because that represents where this is going. I would say that Nico was instructed to play a game that the system has set up that he thought he could potentially win. And it didn't. And now it's hurt that guy. Nico doesn't look good in the eyes of college football right now. And some of that is not his fault, actually. But we do have choices. And, let's see. Much respect to Tennessee's head coach. Tennessee didn't get UT to the playoffs. Sampson got them there. Nico was a game manager. I agree with you. Yeah, 100%. Belichick would pay the greatest quarterback ever. Is he going to tolerate an average? Wouldn't pay the greatest quarterback ever. Is he going to tolerate an average Nico? I don't know. It's a good question. There's so many overpaid NIL players out there, like a silver spoon fed jerks money will ruin college football. It's a relief, and maybe we're better off. Yes, I'm optimistic, but now we know that he didn't want to be there. In other words, spoiled brats. Let me see. Glad to see Big Orange say no. Let me see. Jordan Jackson transferring almost never pans out. Much better sticking it out and building the continuity than leaving majority of the time. Think of DeMarcus Bowman, Frank Ladson. Where are they now? That's a great question, Jordan. That is a great question. Parents looking for the golden parachute. That does happen, my friend. They need to start enforcing transfer fees, steep fees. Potentially. Stupefied. I remember Gabe Eichert was charged $5 for an extra scoop of spaghetti at Oklahoma, and a few years later, this boondoggle. It's funny. UT is going to take Covenant. Say your goodbyes while you can. Just kidding. I hope we try to find that Kansas State. Be blessed, sir. Love listening to you. I have to go birth a few calves. Okay, man. That sounds like a lot of work. Thank you, my friend. Folks, leave your comments below. Did Josh Heupel save college football, or at least give us some time to get this, kind of embolden the coaches to a point to where they can at least give us time to hopefully get this sorted out? That's a great question. Throw it in there. Let me know. Y'all take care of yourself. Hope you've subscribed. It's free. As always, go Tigers.